All right, so for this analysis today, it's actually going to be a little bit different, but I felt compelled to talk about this because I've been seeing a lot of content pop up on, I don't know what this will be called, my YouTube Explore page, or I don't know, what do you call it, For You page on YouTube? I'm not sure. But a lot of people have been making content about social climbing. And I feel like that this is, it could be valuable to certain people, especially considering the kind of content that I make, where I'm always warning people about associating themselves with individuals who are trying to pull them down. I think that social climbing, a lot of people use that as a way to establish relationships that actually build them up. So it's not necessarily knocking it. However, I want to make this analysis to hone in on the dangers of social climbing, because I think a lot of the time people romanticize this idea of being around people who could put them in better positions or that they could rub shoulders with, but they don't understand the fact that no matter the position a person is in, no matter the achievements that they've acquired or the affluence that they've acquired for themselves, it doesn't exempt them from human emotions. So nobody, no matter their position in life, is exempt from feelings of envy. And in fact, if people aren't careful, they will make the erroneous assumption that because someone is successful, they are safe to associate themselves with. And that's not always the case. So in this analysis, I'm actually going to be dissecting the dangers of social climbing. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. So first and foremost, I feel compelled to state that this is not an analysis that is leaning towards this or that. We're making room for this and that. There are absolutely situations where people networked with someone who was in a higher position and it worked out to their benefit, and it was a healthy mentorship / menteeship that blossomed from that network. However, there are also instances where individuals attempt to associate themselves with people and work under the counsel and the guidance of someone in hopes of it being a healthy mentorship, but instead it was rooted in manipulation and exploitation. And for this analysis, we're going to be focusing on the latter half, which is just more so in alignment with the kind of content that I make on this channel specifically, where we talk about identifying envious persons, becoming aware of their tactics and strategies, and also implementing strategies of our own to protect ourselves. Now, there might be some people who watch this analysis and wonder, or maybe they've been in a predicament where they found themselves confused as to how somebody in a more prominent position than them, somebody who was seemingly more affluent than they were, came from a more affluent background, or had more achievements than they did, why that person would feel compelled to sabotage their progress. And this actually takes me back to a section of the book that I reference on this channel all the time, and the section that specifically dissects the chessboard and the chess pieces. And it talks about how pieces on the board that have a higher rank have to be more on guard than pieces that are on a lower rank, because due to their level of achievement and their status, they are going to be prone to more attacks, because there are going to be people who are lying in the wait, seeking for their position, seeking to take their spot. So with that being said, people who are in high positions, even though they may not seem as inclusive or they may not engage with individuals who haven't reached their level of success, that doesn't mean that they're not hypervigilant to their surroundings and those who may pose a threat to their rank. With that being said, what better way to get ahead of your competition than to get them under your wing? And this is where the social climbing trope becomes dangerous. Furthermore, there are people who have acquired certain positions because they learned the art of eliminating their threat rather than competing with them. And to better explain what is meant by eliminating the threat, I'm going to go ahead and read from that section in the book. And the section reads, "This is a tactic an envious person will use to get rid of their target of envy altogether, even before a threat has been made. There's an infamous notion of eliminating one's threat before one can even get a footing or get started. As disheartening as this can be once an individual realizes the odds were already stacked against them and they never truly had an ally in the very people they risked their time, resources, and life for, it's important one immediately puts their defenses up. A war has already been initiated, and one is only doing themselves a disservice if they delay action or rest in a state of denial or disappointment." So, as that section explained, there are instances where someone will willingly take you under their wing, under their mentorship, only to limit how far you go. This can also be further assessed by reading the malicious mentor section in the book. And since we're on the topic of social climbing specifically, I want to read from a few more sections in the book that goes into detail as far as how somebody who may be in a more affluent position than yourself would do things to hinder your progress. So the first section I want to read from is the person who believes they're better than you. And it states, this is the individual who has convinced themselves they are superior to you in their minds, whether it be they were more popular than you, made more money than you, were deemed more attractive, had more influence or affluence, etc. However, they perceive that they lost their status to you in some way. This person's ego creates an air of delusion where they believe that whatever superiority they previously had or currently have over you makes them deserving of whatever you are achieving currently. And the final section that I want to read from is the excerpt titled When Idols Become Rivals. And it states, aside from covert animosity towards you, overt animosity will rise to the surface as you pose a threat to a previous role model. Be mindful of covert sabotage through flattery and false praise. This approach is often meant to appease an ulterior motive, or even more deadly, convince you to sabotage yourself, but with a kiss. So those additional sections of the book provides more context to help us understand that every welcome that we receive isn't necessarily warm. There are some welcomes that are rooted in wickedness, wicked intentions. So when we talk about this topic or this idea of social climbing, it's imperative that you're not blinded by the glitz and the glamour, at least the glitz and the glamour that's presented at the surface level. You have to understand that everybody is human at the end of the day. So not only are individuals non-exempt from experiencing feelings of jealousy and envy, no matter the status that they possess, but additionally, there's a flip side to this coin. Everyone who is in a prominent position is not necessarily there because of their grit, their, intelligence, their talent, their work ethic. Instead, they've mastered this principle of eliminating their threats. So they've learned how to work, essentially, I know most of us are familiar with this phrase, they've learned how to work smarter and not harder. If you eliminate those who really work harder than you, who actually have valuable contributions to bring to the table, then you won't have to worry about competing or showcasing your, I hate to say it like this, your mediocrity. And the irony of it is this too, especially as you learn the ropes a little bit more, you become familiar with certain environments and you just earn some stripes professionally, just even interpersonally, you realize that this in itself is actually a valuable skill set. Everyone doesn't have to put all of their eggs in the basket of working super hard and acquiring certain, achievements and, affluence or whatever. Instead, what they've learned how to master is manipulating circumstances and manipulating people. Is it right? Is it rooted in something of integrity? No, it's not. It's definitely not rooted in integrity or morality, but it is an efficient tool for individuals who don't care about integrity and morality, and they don't care about actually becoming good at a respective thing or a respective field. Instead, they just learn how to manipulate those around them to get what they want. So you get more with less. So what this video is getting at is pretty much depicting a cautionary tale of attempting to social climb, but you're not prepared for the pros and the cons that may come with it. And honestly, it doesn't always come with pros. Sometimes people are met with exponential cons, and they weren't prepared for that because of the narrative that people oftentimes present or paint, that everything is going to be great when you social climb or when you network with people who are in prominent positions. It's always going to work out for you. The fact of the matter is that's oftentimes not the case. If they have something that they want to protect, or if they're on the lookout for those who may pose a threat to what they've established, it is not going to be an easy ride. In fact, you're going to be met with a dog-eat-dog reality. So with that being said, when we talk about social climbing, understand that you are stepping into survival of the fittest territory. All right? So that's all that I have for this analysis on the dangers of social climbing. But of course, I want to hear you all's perspectives, your comments, and your opinions in the comment section below. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking to you guys in the next analysis. Take care, babes.